Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Again, my name is Neil Thompson. I'm the President of the Board of Directors, and I want to welcome you here again on behalf of the board as well as our general manager and management team. I think that those of you who were here for the morning presentation on the report and saw a very comprehensive, very professional, very detailed, very factual, and just an outstanding analysis of not only our situation, but comparing with that of other CEROs, which other things run out of in a minute if they want to. I know it has to do with community associations. What's it? Community? Common Interest Realty Association. Okay. Anyway, just a few administrative announcements before we get started, because this is your time, and we're here to listen and make sure that your questions get answered the best possible. Bob Ferris, who's taking this, said that if anybody objects to being their face showing up in the tape, you can talk to him and he will eliminate it. I would ask that not your face, eliminate you. I'm doing very well today, all right. Yeah, I've got a couple hitmen here. Anyway, he will make sure that you do not appear in the videotape. Please make sure you use the microphone and speak into it when you come up, so that not only can the folks in the audience hear what you've got to say, but we also want to get it on tape unless you want to be limited. I think it's important to point out a few things, and I'm also going to make some similar announcements I made this morning just to refresh your memory in case you weren't here. First thing I want to say is that this is as I said, it's a very comprehensive and great analysis of our situation. The board of directors has got a lot to chew on. There's a lot here that we have to weigh, not only based on the recommendations they've made, but on our own community culture, and as well as our financial condition today and in the future. So we want to hear what you've got to say in the way of questions today. I'll get to the next workshop in a minute, but we're going to very carefully evaluate what we've received today. I would also like to emphasize that I'm sure we'll accept some recommendations. We may not accept others. We may accept some of them in a modified fashion. But again, we want to hear your questions today, kind of get a feel of where the questions lie. And on September 30th at 1:30 p.m., we're going to have another workshop. That is an opportunity for you to come and convey to the board your comments, not questions, your comments on the report as well as related matters. As we take questions today, I would ask that you pose them as questions, not as comments. Questions are not allowed here, and only comments. Well, today it's questions. What I'm really saying is I know that there's a very strong feeling in our community about some of these issues. There's division in our community, but I would ask that you refrain from addressing them today in the sense that, I think the board should type thing. Come and tell us that on the 30th. That's fine. But address your questions. I mean, you may want to seek clarification on something, but don't use this today as kind of what I would say, trying to convey your comments to the board that you ought to do this, you ought to do that, or I feel like, something's happening. Come and tell us that on the 30th. We'll allow ample time to do that. Also on the 30th, the board will, we'll take a short break after the resident comments time, and we're going to discuss the process by which the board is just going to discuss in workshop format, the process by which we're going to take action on the report and whatever else we develop. And so we're just going to say, okay, this is how we're going to handle it. On October 6th at 1:30 p.m., we will have a board meeting. I would anticipate there will be detailed discussion on the recommendations, and we'll make decisions based on that. We're doing it early because we want to see what impact it would have on the budget. The finance committee's already aware of this. They've got a copy of the preliminary budget, but we've told them that things could change depending on what decisions are made at the October 6th board meeting. And there needs to be a natural flow here because we've got to get the budget approved, and we appreciate the fact that they're working on it already and are flexible with respect to that, and there may be some changes. So again, questions today, comments on the 30th. At the board meeting on the 6th, we will have some kind of a format for comments. It's not going to be, a long period of time, but we'll probably break it up. I don't know whether we'll break it up on the recommendations on food and beverage, recommendations on golf, recommendations on other amenities, whether we'll break it out like that. But we will allow some comment also at the board meeting on the 6th. But I think, the majority of the time is going to be dedicated to, discussing and making decisions. But we will allow input. In the meantime, you always have, between now or between the 30th and the 6th, you got the opportunity, can't make one of those meetings. We'll set up some kind of way that you can get your input to the board in another fashion by email or whatever that might be. We'll work. Yeah, Bill?
Yeah, the amenity analysis, there's copies available at the front desk for any of you that haven't got them yet. And if we run out, it takes us a very short time to make them, so.
But we will set up a mechanism by which you can provide input other than, I don't know if Bob Curtis or Secretary about that, we can provide input to us, and we'll announce that by email very shortly, so that you can provide input other than the session. So Janice, who's part of our, Janice Betty, who's part of our amenities task group, has set up a rotation on questions. So without further ado, I'll ask her to call people up. Again, you're limited to one question, and please don't take that time to say, well, but, and keep it going. You can always come back, and if we all of a sudden it's 3 o'clock or 3:15, and we're kind of running out of questions, and people want to come up and, ask, maybe multiple questions at that point, we'll be flexible on that. So, Janice?
Okay, thank you for coming. I just got some more copies of the report that we received. We had presented this morning. If you'd like a copy, they're here at the front. And so what we're going to do today is, I thought I would call 3 or 4 people at a time, and then when the second person is finished, I'll call a couple more so you can go to the podium and utilize our time efficiently. So the first people that are on the questions are first Maria Miller, and then Joseph Miller, and Tom Agati, and Stan Ely. So if you would go to the podium. Anyone in the audience who has a question, who would like to ask, please sign up. And if you have more than one question, you can sign up more than once. And just rotate till you get your questions answered. And I will be timing them for 2 minutes. The reason for that was so that everyone had an opportunity to ask their questions and we wouldn't run out of time. But obviously with, see, I have but 1 page of people signing up so far, so I don't think it's going to be a big issue. So Maria, if you are ready.
Try to. Have my time to sit down? Okay. This morning, you made a very interesting point about our association being somewhat different from other CIRAs, which are common interest realty associations, in their fee and revenue structures. And you mentioned that they often charge about $2,400 a family for golf memberships, whereas we don't use that kind of a fee structure. And under our current cost structure, Valley Crest Maintenance contract has about 65% of our contract costs going for the golf course upkeep. And this is not reflected in the pie charts and the tables, which are on pages 21 and 22. On those pages, just the pro shop cost of sales are indicated. So I was wondering, is this not really skewing the results to make it look like it's not costing as much as it really is? And is the, on page 32, at the bottom bullet, well, that's part of the same thing. It's all about that cost structure.